the whole, area out there for the trailer park and your store, but there's other things that came before all that happened. He's gonna give you a little story about, bit of history, not story, a bit of history about what happened out there in that.
I think I'll go back and forth into other areas, not just the battle Sleepy Hollow. Also, let me talk about Fort Mojave. Those guys had a thing called Ward Valley. Some of our boys, I took some boys, we went over there and we won that battle for them. High school kids from 7th Squad, we went over there. After I saw what had happened, they told me what to do. I went back, I said, boys, I'm gonna put you in harm's way. We're gonna lead the procession right up to the front lines. The federal officers gonna evict us at 12 o'clock, so they asked me to sing lightning songs, sacred lightning songs, all the way up to the gate, where the blockade was, and then sing Pipa war songs. So I sang that. We did that until the federal officer gave up and we won. That's the second battle, the Ward Valley. And they celebrate every year. They do a commemoration for what happened. They celebrate, people come down, they do all kinds of things because of that battle. Sleepy Hollow? Who ever heard of Sleepy Hollow? That's the greatest battle that ever happened, but nobody knows about it. The reason why that I think I went into that, at that time I was a councilman, but you see the mountain there, Pilot Knob, almost half of that we won back. If you go to that one, and Mexico straight across, all the way up to where that power line is, it meets with that one, we got that. And it goes all the way over here, to, all the way up to Laguna Dam and all that, and across All American Canal. But when I got in office, our reservation was at baseline to the All American Canal, and around there to the river. That's all we had. So Sleepy Hollow was a place that I remember as a boy. Now, I'm 82 years old now. I know I look like I'm 21, but but anyway, that place there, I went there as a boy, and we're going to Algodones. There seemed to be a town there. There was a store there. There was a post office there. There was a school, and people were living there. They even had a school there. There was a railroad that went through there up to the border, Southern Pacific. So there was it's called Andrade. It's called Andrade. Now that history goes beyond too, because I did some research. Andrade is another subject. I won't go into it, it goes too far back. Anyway, and so when I saw that, okay, that's where we're at now. And then the legend goes that Pilot Knob, it's called a Bicolado. They say that the oak ceremony started from there all the way up to here. This are our ceremonies. That's how they did it. So to us, that was very sacred and important to us too, that land, Sleepy Hollow. So when they said we're going to go in to try to get there, what happened was another councilman and I had a little office on the hill, and they used to have the what do you call it, the tribal office over there at the community center. The chairman called and said, we're going to go to El Centro, let's go. So the two of us, the two councilmen, where are we going? He said, we're going to go to the planning and zoning. So I said, okay, why? Well, there are two people, a man named Red Rambo and somebody who was on the planning and zoning committee, lived in Winter Haven. They were going to ask for permission to build a truck stop at Andrade, because by that time nobody was there. They all moved out. Nobody was there. It was all cleared out then, with all trees and everything. So they were going to take that, put a truck stop. So we went into that meeting, and boy, everybody was nervous because we came in. Our chairman, he's a pretty smart man. His name is Elmer Sevilla. He said, I want to address the council here, committee here. That land there was taken from us a long time ago through Southern Pacific, who was able to take land for railroad, okay? So they took that land, and so, but Southern Pacific abandoned that land. So if they abandon any tribal lands that once belonged to them, it reverts back to the tribe. So you can't have it. well, we'll do a quiet title search and we'll see. So they were gonna find out if we couldn't have that land, take it back. So when we came out and said, do you trust these guys? I said, hell no, those guys are not gonna do a title search. They're gonna take it. So we gathered all the elders, these elder people. I mean, we're not talking about elders who are young elders. These are older. They didn't speak English at all. They're real old elders. That's who we're dealing with. And as a matter of fact, they're the ones that put me in office. I got in office because they wanted me to be there. And their elder was a man named Kachora, old Pete Kachora. He was their orator, speaker. And he came in, they came in, a lot of people came, elders, they came, and they talked and said, we're gonna go to San Diego. So they all wanted to go, so we all got in the little old bus. And we went all the way to San Diego, but as soon as we walked in, we heard the judge say, what was it, petition or something, denied, boom, they stopped it. Injunction, we want an injunction. We got a lawyer to do an injunction. Our lawyer, I don't know if he did, but it's an injunction denied, boom. Our lawyer didn't say nothing. And the old man said, did they say no? I said, nope, we lost it. I said, oh. So the lawyer was coming and said, I don't want to see you, because you didn't even fight for it. You didn't see it, nothing. So we left, and Elmer Sevilla told me, hey, take the old people and get something to eat before you go home. So we went to a Denny's, I think. So we're eating. I was sitting with the old men, and all the old guys were next to me. I was sitting in the middle. And they said, you know, that land should be taken back because of the importance. There's some things there that are very sacred to us, and we have to take it back. It's very important. The footprints of the past are there, you can see them. Now, that mountain is very important too. There's a lot of people who lived in that area, and there are, as a matter of years later, they did some research, they did find a lot of artifacts there that the people once lived in that area, all the way up to where the casino was at. People lived there. People lived there. All the way back to the other side, people lived there. So that's why we're gonna fight for it, because if we took that land, it would have gone from that border all the way up to where that freeway was. We'll take all of that back. So that, so when we're eating at Denny's, the old man said, we have to take that land back, no matter what, whatever it costs. And you have to go in there, he told me. You can go in there. You might have to die to prove that it is our land. And if you die there, we'll take care of you. And I thought, I'm dead, how are they gonna take care of me, you know? But that's what I was told, that you have to die there to prove that's our land, if you have to. I said, all right. I'm a former Marine. I was in the Marine Corps. And when your commander said, dude, you got an order, you followed it without question. So this man was my leader, so when he told me, well, I guess I'd go die for it. So that's, we came back, then the next day we went to the meeting, and the old man said the same thing, what we have to do, that we have to take that land back. So, and then we said, what do we do? They said, possession is 9/10 of the law. In other words, we gotta go possess that land and say it's ours and not move. They have to kick us out of there, whatever, but we'll fight to the death there to prove it's our land. So the chairman said, okay, well, we'll do that then, you know. So what's the chairman's idea, really? So we're gonna go there. Of course, our chairman went and talked to all the program directors to get their help. And they said, we can't do it because we'll lose our funding, our grants, we'll lose this, and then the government, everybody's afraid to do it. All the directors wouldn't go. Only one director was from the alcohol and drug abuse. He was a director, happened to be my brother too. He said, we're going. I don't care if they take off our funds, we're gonna go. So the alcoholism program was gonna help us. That's the only program that came with us. And we went. And I went down, there was a lot of commotion going on. And I remember when I went there, there was some newsmen there, television and everything, but they did talk to me, but I got away from them. They said, what do you need? I said, I need a trench. They bought a trench. They built cut a trench for us so cars couldn't get in. So I went over there and, what are we gonna do? I said, well, we're gonna gather today. So the alcoholism brought people down and volunteered to work there. And the men that were in the halfway house, now these men I saw, these guys were jailbirds, been in prison, they were fighters, they were, you name, they were outcasts of the reservation, they're rejects. Nobody liked these guys that came down. And they were gonna help fight for the Battle of Sleepy Hollow. This is where they came. So we went there, so we talked. And then, so I told them what could happen, what might happen to me if I went up there, because I also had, they made 2 staffs to carry into battle for me. They made me a headdress, what to do at the end of the battle, when they came up for us, how to do this staff before you die. So I learned all of that, to do this. So I told them what's gonna happen. And those men said, you know what, Preston, we have never done anything right in our lives, but we'll die here with you. That's what they said. So we had the staffs, so we're ready. So, and then that evening, I meant they had a big gathering. People came, they ate and this and that. And boy, I said, boy, everybody's here, we're gonna do great, you know. When the sun went down, they were gone. All I had was the people from the halfway house to help me. So we stayed there at night. Cars went by with their spotlights. People tried to come in, they couldn't come in. So there were some people who camped there, said, you better go because there might be some shooting here. So they left, they moved out. The police couldn't come in either. Nobody could come in. In the meantime, our chairman was talking to people. Chairman and people from the California Tribal Association came down and talked to us. And I even had AIM, American Indian Movement, told me, we'll bring in men and guns to help you fight this battle. I said, no, I don't think so. I thank you. But the little bit what we have here, we're gonna fight it, and if we lose and they run over us, then you come in and do what you have to do. But we'll do the battle first. With my little group here, we'll fight. If we lose and they run over us, then you guys, AIM could come in. They said, okay, we'll wait. So AIM didn't come in, so we stayed there. 7 or 8, I don't know what that, it wasn't that many, that were staying there to protect that land. We stayed there for 6 days, I think. And I remember that morning when the federal officers they were coming. There was only one car though that came and parked, and he came out to meet me. So I went there to meet him. He said, well, Preston, you can go home now. You won. I said, I did, we did. I said, yeah. If you do this again, I'm gonna come back with some men and I'll do the same thing. But we'll do more than damage than that. He said, no, you guys have that land. You can take it back. So I went back, but you know what? I went and told my men what we won. But we didn't feel good. We felt like we were cheated out of death. That's what we felt. We were cheated out of death. We're supposed to die, we didn't die. So I told the men, and we're all sad, and we left. I told those men when they said, when you go back, don't go to the tribe and ask for anything. Don't ask for a job, don't ask for money, don't do it. Because they're gonna hate you even worse than they ever did because of what you've done. Because they couldn't do it, but you did it. So it's gonna be worse. So don't ask for me, they're gonna hate me even worse too. They do anyway. Only the elders like me. But I will go back and I'll resign from my office as councilman. They said, Preston, don't resign because you're the only one we have in there. So I didn't resign, and we came home. And I took the staffs and came home. But those were the reasons why we fought for the Battle of Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow was the opening that helped us go fight for the rest of the land, because after that we went and tried for the rest, and we got all the land back up to Laguna Dam on the land, the other side of the All-American Canal, all the way down this area and straight down to Vico Paranap. We won all that back from that one single battle. We got it all back, most of it anyway. And we had lost that in 1896. We lost all of that land, and we got it back. Any questions? Did I miss anything, do you think? Yeah,
What happened to the injunction that the lawyer had?
I'm not good, I don't hear that.
What happened to the injunction? You know, the legal part of it.
The legal part of it?
How did that get straightened out?
Oh, well, the land claims. Well, they gave that land back to us, for one thing. It went to federal, we went to Washington, and we got that land back, plus all the other lands we fought for. We were in Washington. The Secretary of Interior, you know, was assistant, and then set the assistant. And the Assistant Secretary of Interior, I think he came here too. But the Interior Department, he didn't come over, the Secretary of Interior. But he went to Washington, and they gave it back to us. That included, but that one included all the other land we lost. We put them all together. But that was the starting point though. Once we took that, then the rest fell in. We even owned First Street going down. And they had to settle that, but by that time I got out of office, we got out of office. The next council had to do that, and they never did. But we did get, we could have lots 5 and 6 because it comes into First Avenue. But nobody fought for it, and we lost that to the Cocobas. Lots 5, First Street, we never got it because we never fought for it. If we stayed in, we might have fought for it, but we didn't. I got out of office. Because I'm not a politician, I'm not a councilman. I was a councilman, but I don't see a career in politics, so I got out of it. But that's what happened. Anything else? That was louder.
The Bureau, was the Bureau involved at all? The Bureau of Indian Affairs?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they came out, yeah. They did come out, yeah. But we negotiated through them to there, that's what we did.
So at the time, was it Savilla also that was head of the Bureau? Lorraine? Or was it Felix? Don't know.
I can't hear too well.
I was wondering who was in charge of the Bureau at the time?
Lorraine White, Elmer's sister.
Okay.
No, we worked with the Bureau of Indian Affairs too. Matter of fact, we got a better chance by going through her too, you know. But she was there. All right?
So what year was it when the tribe got the land back right there at Sleepy Hollow? Because you said it belonged to the railroad at one point in time, right? So they abandoned it?
Yeah.
What year more or less was it when the tribe got it back?
When did we get it back?
Yeah. Right after everything got
Well,
settled.
like I said, when we got all our land claims back, it was included in it.
Uh-huh.
I forgot the year though, it might have been in, later on, about the 70, 80.
70.
But at that time, since we won that battle,
Mhm.
nobody could go in there.
Okay.
You know, it was on hold
Okay.
for a while. So that's how we got that land back. Matter of fact, that makes more money today than any place.
Okay.
All the way up to Sleepy Hollow. I mean, all the way up to where the casino sits too. We won all that back. And oh man, that was something else though to be in that battle. But you know, being at Sleepy Hollow, you know, there's a lot of things that I was talking to my boys about, my friends that were there. And they said they heard something, they saw something, that a lot of things happened there. I said, yeah, a lot of people lived here a long time ago. And there, you know, so you may hear about, you might hear or see things out here that nobody, you know, could hear or see. So they said they did hear things and see things, and they talked about their dying too. And we talked about that. I don't know, it was, It was scary, but it wasn't scary. You know, when you're ready to die, you don't think too much about scared and being afraid anymore. I think that's what it was. We weren't afraid of what we heard, what we saw, and what was coming. I had those two staffs. They came in those two staffs to use. One was for another man and one was for me. And he said, you wave that thing 4 times. You can take 1 step forward. You wave 1 more time, just take 1 breath. You take 4 steps, wave 4 times, and the fourth step, you point and you charge. So I told my men, when you see me point, I'm going to charge. And you guys follow me in. And I said, yes, we will. Just think 5 or 6 of us were going to do that. I said, what if they kill you first, Preston? I said, well, if they do, you can pick up my 38 and fire it too. Well, yeah, I guess we could. So, you know, we were like joking when we're ready to die. That's what we thought about. It's funny when you're ready to die, you know. But anyway, it didn't happen. That staff, though, I had it for a long time. I put it in the museum, and I didn't like what was going on, so I pulled it out of the museum, and I took it home, and everybody wanted that staff. Everybody thought they had magical powers in it. Everybody wanted it. I kept it, I buried it. Now nobody will ever find it. It's gone. But because when I did come back, first time I came back, I showed the old man, Pete Pichoro, and he said, keep them. You can wrap it up, throw it in the river, you can bury it, or you can burn it. Either one. But I think you should hold on to it and see what happens, because you might need them. Someday you're going to need that. Believe it or not, when we ran we ran too from San Pasqual. Students, we ran from here all the way toward Valley. We ran over there. And those 2 staffs that were at the Battle State Hallow, I used those too, and we ran with them all the way up there. So we used it for that. So that the staffs were pretty powerful. We won that battle. We hit them. I hit them and I buried it, and nobody will ever find it now. It's gone. Because it was having a lot of problems because people wanted it, they wanted to fight over it. And yet, there was something very important behind those staffs. But they didn't care. Any more questions? Charlotte?
Yeah, the opposition, the people that were against us taking the land, were they visible? Were they there?
No, I don't think so. The people that were sitting, the directors
Well,
and
how
that.
did you think you were gonna get killed if they weren't there? How did you know how did you think you were gonna get killed?
How did I think I was going to get killed?
Uh-huh.
Well, when you're holding land that the government wants and they're going to bring in a force, there's bound to be some shooting to get you out of there if you're not going to surrender. We're not going to surrender, I said.
But you didn't see them?
No.
You said you also built a trench though to prevent cars from going in though, right?
Right.
You said you built a trench, you had them dig a trench so cars couldn't drive in?
We had a trench built.
A trench built, yeah, to
Yeah.
prevent vehicles from going
Yeah.
in, right? And then you said you saw vehicles coming on.
But you know what,
right?
I'll tell you, they thought we were armed to the teeth too. We had a shotgun with no shells. We had 122 and 1 shell and somebody bit the tip of it off. And we had a couple of hunting knives. I had a 38, I had 6 rounds in it. That's all we had to fight with. And the news was that we were armed to the teeth, ready to fight to the death over there. We bluffed them. So, the worst thing they could have done was to come to us with guns and ready to fight, because that would have been our opening to go to them and let them shoot us. Like I said, we had to die there to prove it. They didn't do it because they know we would do that. You gotta know strategy. They probably did a profile on me right away. They knew who I was and saw, hey, he's an ex-Marine, he's done this, he's done that, this guy's gonna fight to the death. Don't try it, you know. And all these guys were with me, Probably saw the prison records too, 'cause
They'll do it.
but these guys are heroes. All forgotten what they did. What we have today, those guys did it. They're gone. They were the Pelone boys. They were from the Pelone. There was were from Pelone, and there was a guy named what's his name? Anyway, there was another man there, a young man. Anyway, what was it?
I remember the time, my mom was asked to go, my mother. And, I know Cora was also going, and they were saying, we were kinda laughing at her, do you know why you're going?
They were in the bus when we went to San Diego. They were in the bus.
They went to the one
Yeah.
over here also, because they.
Yeah, they
left
went
that
there for a
day.
while. They left, I can understand, they're older people.
Yeah.
But they went on the bus to San Diego too, a lot of the
A
elders.
bunch of them.
Most of the elders were there. Yeah, they took part in it. These are real elders now. We don't have that kind anymore. They may be old, but they're not real elders, I don't think, because they don't think like they did. I was young then, but I'm not young anymore, I caught up with them. But there were many of them. And they were really into the tribal ways, tribal beliefs. Today, we don't have them anymore. We don't want them. You don't want me. Okay, what else? Anybody have any questions? Come on, you guys.
You're all working in that whole area. What are you gonna talk about to people who come and ask you about Sleepy Hollow? You know, these are questions that they may ask you, and you might wanna get it from the source right now as to what you could tell them as far as the history of Sleepy Hollow. That's one thing, to look at it that way, you know. It's
You
part
know,
of your history.
I think, like I said, the Mojaves celebrate the Ward Valley, the victory of Ward Valley. We haven't done anything over here for those men. Not me, those men that stayed there, those people that came there. I have names in that. Oh, I wrote a diary when I was there. I wrote a diary. And they're using that diary right now for something else. But I wrote a diary when I was there. Notes of everything that's happening. I wrote notes and everything. I have a diary written about that Battle of Sleepy Hollow. And they're gonna make a movie out of it, out of my diary. That's what we've been working on now. I do a lot of writing. I'm a writer, I'm a playwright, I write plays. I write, produce plays. I haven't been doing it in a long time, but that's what I used to do. I wrote, produced plays. I belonged to the Screen Actors Guild. I used to be in Actors Equity. I wrote and produced plays. I did all those things. When I came home and I saw what was happening, I couldn't leave. Nobody made me stay. It's just like watching one of you laying there dying. I'm gonna stop and do something. I'm not gonna walk away. I'm not. So when I saw the tribe, the need, I stayed. I never went back. All those years I stayed here because they needed me, and I stayed here and I did what I could. I'm still doing it for, geez, almost 50 years or so. I went back for a while. I went to Northern California, taught drama at DQ University, then I finally got in a movie, did this and that. I thought I'm on my way, but I came back, ended up at Ward Valley, and ended up back here yet. So I'm here. So, but I have this feeling or conscience. My conscience tells me what to do. The conscience of staying here to help the tribe is starting to fade now. I don't think I have to stay anymore. I think my time is up. That I can go do what I want to do now It's starting to fade. Before that, my conscience was so strong to stay here and give up what I had to be here. Now it's fading. So I may be able to leave now and do what I want to do, to go back to what I did before. I'd like to go back to do what I did before. And maybe this movie you're gonna do will send me back. But I think for you young people, it's your conscience that makes you do the right thing. It's your conscience. If your conscience says that's the right thing, do it. But don't let anybody change that conscience that tells you you should do it, you have to do it. Because following your conscience is not easy, because a lot of people may not believe what you believe, what you think. But as long as you know what is right and you follow that, that's where it's at. I was laughing. Oh, remember I told you about the Kurok ceremony? Sometimes they start from there when we're here. When they have the Kurok ceremony, when the smoke goes up, everything they burn, the smoke goes to the mountains. Palinab has a lot of smoke from our Kuroks, or the people that have died. Because the Kurok is it's a mini Kurok really, because that's how they did it at the beginning, when our Creator wanted to go back to where he came from, because he had been mortal, that he had to die to leave, to go back. And so they cremated him the way we do it today. We still do it today. What they did a long time ago, we're still doing today. When anybody dies, we cremate, we have the same ceremony, same way. I heard people were afraid of the Kurok, and yet we do it all the time when somebody dies. We always do it. We've done it for everybody. Every Kusan will go to the same thing, and everybody will take part. I heard one individual said, I didn't go to a Kurok because I didn't want to die. You mean, do you show up at a Kurok, do you die on the spot, or do you die an hour later, 2 hours later, a week later? When do you die for going there? Or are you going to live the rest of your life because you didn't go to the Kurok? You know, you got a question. All right. Now, one of you young people asked me a question. See, that's everything. I told you. Your conscience, follow that. Say it, do it, whatever. Your conscience is not telling you to clam up and shut up and don't say nothing. You're thinking. You got to talk sometime. You got to say something. You got to do something. Because nobody did that, and look what happens. You got to think. You got to talk. You got to say something.
What year did the railroad come in and they took over? More or less, what year was that?
Well, we lost the land actually in 1896.
1896.
So it might have been somewhere around there.
Okay. Before that, was it an RV park or anything like that? Or that you
No,
know?
it was, we had it. It was ours.
What was there?
Huh?
What was there before that?
Was there
Just-
houses before or just?
It was, yeah, it was just.
Just land?
Just the land. You know, the border was there though.
Yeah.
You know, the border was there.
What about that mountain right there that has the petroglyphs and all that?
Oh, yeah.
That was all okay.
Petroglyphs are old. Come on, we're talking
Yeah.
about thousands of years.
Okay.
Thousands
Making
of
sure.
petroglyphs.
Alright.
They say there were some, an uncle of mine, a great uncle of mine, said that there's a place where there was a place where you can see handprints and the knee prints on the ground, where a giant came to that land and he could have been the creator. He put his hands there and his knees in there. You can see the prints of them that were there. They destroyed that too. So, as you can see, that was our sacred place. Still sacred to me. I fought for that land twice. Won the first time, lost the second time, but well,
Anything else?
am I done?
What about anything that you guys seen out there that you may
Who named it Sleepy Hollow?
Huh?
Who named it Sleepy Hollow?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know about it until I got in office 2 years ago. I said, Sleepy Hollow, where's that at? Yeah, I passed by that all the time going to Dunkin' Donuts when I was going there to get a haircut. That's what we said all the time, get a haircut. But that, I didn't know it was that Sleepy Hollow. I said, where's that at? And I was there, you was right there. Somebody, you know, it kinda, I remember there were trees all over, big tamarack trees, all over that place. Remember I told you there was a little town there, like, you know? When we had Fort Yuma Indian School up here, they wanted to make a unified school district, so that there was a school there at Andrade, there was a school at Ogilvy, there was a school at Winter Haven, there was a school at Bard, and they all unified, and that's how it ended up at San Pasquale. So what's the school there, Drew?
So our tribe lived in that area for where the school was, where the bank was, so it was like a mini town for right there at Andrade.
Yeah, Andrade.
So we inhabited that as far as, I don't want to say occupied, we lived there, during those times when they had the railroad. So a lot of our people, did they work with the railroad?
Our people lived there a long time ago, yeah. Yeah, in the past, because, now I have to go back further back. There was, near Algodones, Mexico, people lived along that river, Quetzals. They lived along the river. And there was, they wanted to, a man named Blythe. There was a man named Andrade. He was in the Mexican consulate, and he saw the Colorado River come by here, and he thought that they can make something out of it. So he knew Blythe. So him and Blythe were going to get that river and take it into Imperial Valley. I think they're going to use the Alamo River way on the other side of Mexico. And so, but the Quetzals and natives were living by that river, so they had to get them out of there. So they said, if you can get them out of there, then we can do that. And so they couldn't move the Indians. So, so what happened was they went to a judge in Algodones, and he said no, because these people that live there have claims that are registered in Ensenada. They have claims. So they couldn't move them. So, but they said, but if you can kick them out for just one day, we can take it. That's what they said. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to kick them out one day. So but you got to remember the people lived all the way down the river this way, you know. That's when it used to go that way too. So they wanted to get them out of there. And I think what happened was, my aunt, Parker's there, Kamiyas. So I'm part Kamiya, I'm Kamiya really, half Kamiya, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my grandmother. They came from New River on the other side of El Centro, near the Salton Sea. They came from there. And they got run out of there, and so they were living there. My great-grandfather, he used to go to the Mexican village every Saturday, and all the Mexicans suddenly started calling him Sabado because he came into the village every Saturday. So he ended up with the name Sabado. That's how we got him. My grandmother was there. My aunt was there. All the families that we came from were there. And they were telling me how they shot them and everything. They had to jump in the water and come across from this side. They ran them out for that day, and so they got that land, and they were negotiating. But after that, it fell apart. They were negotiating another land deal, how they wanted to take the river down there, but they wanted to take the water. They couldn't do the water, so they wanted to build a canal. So they made a deal to build an all-American canal, and that's when we lost all the land in 1896. Kind of confusing, isn't it? It's a long story that I went through. But I have to write it down in a chronological order to understand it.